Good afternoon, my dear children. How are you? Hope you are doing well. Do you remember what we have learned in the last class? We have seen about the formatting features of Word 2013, right? Now let's recall what we have learned in the last class. Okay, last class we have seen about page formatting features, right? So what is page formatting? Making changes to the settings of a page is called page formatting. So in that page formatting we have seen about setting up of margins, right? So what are the steps that you followed to change the margin settings of a margin? Do you remember? You have to click the page layout tab, right? Do you remember? Click the page layout tab and below you can find the page setup group here, right? Yes, page setup group. Then you have to click margins and you can click normal. Okay, by default you have 1 inch margin for top margin, bottom margin, left margin and right margin. You have 1 inch. Okay, so if you want to go for custom margins, so as your wish, for example, left side you want more spacing and right, top and bottom you need less spacing, so that you can go for your custom margin. So if you click custom margin, see what happens. A dialog box appears, that is page setup dialog box will appear. So in this you can click top margin, right? So here you can change the top margin size and bottom margin, left margin and right margin. You can set the size of the spacing for left, right, top and bottom you can set. Okay, understood? Okay, next you have seen about setting margin using rulers, right? Do you remember two types of rulers that we have used, that is horizontal ruler and vertical ruler. So see here, this is the vertical ruler. So if you click this ruler up, see the margin size differs, right? So margin value differs. So you can use this vertical ruler to adjust the top margin and bottom margin. So see, similarly you can change the bottom margin also, right? Yes, okay. The next, you can change the left and right margin using the horizontal ruler or vertical ruler, that is horizontal ruler. See here, you can see an arrow, right? So using this you can change the left and right margin. Okay, see this right margin. Okay, similarly you can change the left margin also. Okay, next is changing the orientation of the page. So we have seen that there are two types of orientation, that is portrait and landscape. See the steps. First you have to click which tab? Page layout tab, and you have to go to the page setup group. In that you have to click orientation. If you want portrait you can click portrait, or if you want landscape you can click landscape. Okay, so now this is in the landscape orientation. Okay, if you want portrait you can change the orientation to portrait. Okay, now setting paper size. So already we have opened the page setup dialog box, right? How? You have clicked page setup arrow here. So a page setup dialog box appears. So for adjusting the margins we have opened this dialog box, right? So if you want to set the paper size, see here, I have told you, you can select your paper size as your wish. See, legal, statement, executive, A3, A4, B4, many different sizes are available. Okay, so you can select your, as your wish, you can select the paper size. Okay, width and height also you can change here. Okay, so this is setting paper size using the paper tab. The next, inserting page break. So what is page break? A page break indicates the end of a page, right? For example, you see, so after this paragraph, you need the remaining content to be displayed in the next page. So you need a page break here, right? So for that, what you have to do? You have to click the insert tab, not the page layout tab. For inserting a page break, you have to click the Insert tab. See, the page break option is available here. In the Pages tab, in the Pages group, you can see the page break option available here, right? So you have to click the page break. Now you see what happens. After this paragraph, it goes to the next page. See, the next heading starts from the next page. So this is the use of a page break. Okay. In today's class, we'll see about the column formatting features. Okay. By default, a Word 2013 document has only one column in a page. See, for example, in a newspaper, how many number of columns you can see? Is there only one column available? No, more number of columns are available, right? So let's see how to do this formatting. Now let's see the steps to be followed to set up a simple column style. First step, you have to select the text. Next, click the Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, you have to click the Columns option and specify the number of columns by clicking the desired option set to the Columns drop-down menu. So in the drop-down menu, Columns drop-down menu, you have to specify the number of columns. 2 or 3 you can select. Okay. Now the page will split into 2 columns of equal width. As you go on typing the text and the cursor reaches the end of the current column, it automatically goes on to the next column. So while you are typing, if the first column is over, when it reaches the end of the first column, the next line begins from the second column of the first page itself. Okay, it will not enter into the second page. Instead, it will go to the second column. Okay. See, you can see the options here. Click the Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, click Columns and you click 2. You can see the 2-column formatting. Okay. Next, let's see about More Columns option. Click More Columns in the Columns drop-down menu list in Page Setup group of Page Layout tab. So when you click the More Columns option, you can see the Columns dialog box opens. Okay. The number of columns you want to create can be chosen in 2 ways. So you can choose the number of columns in 2 ways. The first way, by clicking one of the preset column formats in the preset box. So from the preset box, you can choose any one of the column formats, or else by entering a number in the number of columns box. Okay, so these are the 2 ways to enter the number of columns. See, this is the preset box and this is the number of columns box. So you can use any one of these 2 ways to choose the number of columns. Okay. If you want columns of equal width, select the equal column width checkbox. See, if you want the 2 column widths to be equal, so you can click this checkbox. Okay, so equal column width checkbox. Or else, for columns of different widths, type the column width for each column. See here, you can see the column width option available here. You can set your width and spacing here. Okay. Click the line between checkbox for inserting a line between the columns. See, the line between option is available here. You have to click this checkbox if you want to insert a line between the 2 columns, and you have to click OK. Now let's see the demo of how to apply all these formatting features in a Word document. By default, when you open a Word document, see, you can see only one column available in a page. Okay, if you want to go for more number of columns, see the settings. You have to go to the Page Layout tab. In the Page Setup group, you can find the columns option here, right? So click this and you can change the number of columns to 2. Okay, so now you see what happens. The text get displayed in 2 columns now. Okay, So now let's see the more columns option. Okay, go to page layout tab, under page setup group, click columns, and you can go for more columns. So when you click more columns option, you can see a columns dialog box here. Okay, so in this you can change the number of columns in two ways. Okay, that is, one is preset box. So this is the preset box, and here you can click the number of columns you want and you can change it. Okay, or else the next you can have the number of columns box. So here you can change the number of columns. Suppose if you want 4 number of columns, you can type 4 here, or you can change the number of columns here. Okay, 4 or 5 you can choose. Okay, so these are the two ways you can change the number of columns. Okay, and one more option you can see, if you want all the 4 columns to be of equal width. See here, these 4 columns you can see, you can preview here, right? So these are all of equal width. So you have to click this equal column width option. Okay, suppose if you want the first column width to be small and second, third and fourth column width to be large, so you have to adjust the width of the columns. So you have to remove this click now. See, you have to remove this checkbox and you can change the setting. See here, width you have reduced now. Now you can see what happens. Click OK. See, the first column width is small. When you compare to second, third and fourth, the first column width is small. So in this way you can change the column width, and you can set the spacing in between first and second column. See the spacing. So here it is of equal spacing. If you want this spacing to be changed, also you can change it. Okay, so go to more columns and you can see the columns dialog box. See here the spacing. When you change the spacing, see here what happens. See, the spacing gets increased. Okay, and the next option, if you want to draw a line in between the columns, you can have the option. See, click this option, line between. Okay, click this option. Now see what happens. You can see a line drawn in between the columns. Okay. Okay, my dear children, I hope you understood the topic very well. If you have any doubts in this topic, please contact me and you can clarify your doubts. Okay. Thank you. Take care.